Welcome back to our channel. Got old wheat pennies from 1941, 1944, or 1956? Don't just toss them in your coin jar. Some of these classic Lincoln cents are worth way more than face value, especially if they have rare mint errors or are in top condition. Check your coins now. You could be holding a piece of history worth serious cash. The story of the very rare 1941 United States 1-cent wheat penny is one that begins in a world on the brink of monumental change. America in 1941 stood at a crossroads, still recovering from the lingering shadows of the Great Depression and cautiously watching as tensions overseas escalated toward global war. It was a time when every penny mattered, both in the literal sense and in the hearts of a nation learning to rebuild its confidence. Amid this backdrop, the U.S. Mint continued its steady work, striking millions of coins to fuel the economy. Among them was the humble Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had been in circulation since 1909. Yet somewhere in that year's production, a small number emerged unlike the rest, their unusual flaws setting them on a path to become some of the most desirable coins ever struck in the early 20th century. The wheat penny had long been a favorite of both the public and collectors. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it featured the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the classic wheat stalks on the reverse, a design that symbolized the nation's agricultural strength and resilience. In 1941, the mint in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco struck these coins by the millions, each intended to be uniform and precise. But as with all great manufacturing efforts, perfection was more a goal than a guarantee. Somewhere in the process that year, the minting rhythm faltered. The result was a small batch of wheat pennies with striking errors, each one a product of mechanical imperfection and pure chance. The nature of these 1941 errors varied. Some displayed dramatic double dies, with Lincoln's features appearing shadowed or doubled under careful examination. Others bore off-center strikes, where the portrait or wheat stalks drifted toward the edge of the coin, leaving part of the surface blank. A few had weak strikes that gave the design a soft, almost ghostly appearance. Each flaw was unique, and each made the coin instantly more intriguing to the trained eye. But in 1941, when the nation's focus was on looming global events and the necessity of everyday survival, few people were inclined to scrutinize their change for minting mistakes. Most of these rare pennies entered circulation unnoticed. They passed through the hands of shopkeepers, soldiers, and families, buying cups of coffee, loaves of bread, or tickets to the movies. Some may have traveled far from the city of their minting, making their way across states and even overseas in the pockets of servicemen. It would take decades before collectors began to realize that some 1941 pennies were worth far more than 1 cent. By the 1960s, coin collecting in the United States had exploded in popularity. Everyday people began searching through their change, encouraged by stories of rare coins turning up in the most ordinary places. The 1941 wheat penny errors began to surface in this wave of renewed interest. Word spread quietly at first, through small collector clubs and regional coin shows. Photographs of double dies and sharply off-center strikes began appearing in collector publications, and dealers started keeping an eye out for particularly unusual specimens. The turning point came when a near-mint example of a 1941 wheat penny with a dramatic double die obverse was authenticated and graded by a leading coin grading service. The coin's surfaces gleamed with original luster, the doubling on the date and lettering crisp and unmistakable. When it went to auction, it drew the attention of serious numismatists nationwide. The bidding was fierce, and the final hammer price far exceeded expectations. Overnight, the coin went from an obscure anomaly to a headline-making rarity. From then on, the hunt was on. Collectors searched tirelessly, combing through coin rolls, estate collections, and old jars of change tucked away in basements and attics. The idea that such a valuable coin might be sitting unnoticed in an old cigar box fueled the passion of countless treasure hunters. Dealers, too, recognized the growing market and began featuring 1941 wheat penny errors prominently in their catalogs and displays. The most valuable examples have always been those in the highest grades, preserved in nearly the same condition as when they left the mint. Some were set aside soon after minting, perhaps by accident or by someone who noticed something unusual about them even then. Others survived thanks to sheer luck, spending decades untouched in a collection or safe deposit box. One particularly famous sale involved a 1941 wheat penny error discovered in an inherited collection. The coin had sat untouched for over half a century, protected from the wear and tear of circulation. Its owner, unaware of its significance, brought it to a local coin shop, where the dealer immediately recognized its rarity. Sent off for professional grading, it returned with a near-perfect score. When it crossed the auction block, it ignited a bidding war that pushed the price into 6 figures, breaking previous records and cementing its place as one of the crown jewels of mid-20th century U.S. coinage. What makes these coins so captivating is not just their monetary value but their connection to a pivotal moment in history. The year 1941 marked the United States' entry into World War II, an event that reshaped the nation and the world. To hold a 1941 penny, especially one with such a remarkable era, is to hold a tangible piece of that era, a reminder of the hands it might have passed through and the events it might have silently witnessed. Over the years, 1941 wheat penny errors have appeared in auctions time and again, each appearance reinforcing their reputation as elite collectibles. Their performance has been remarkably consistent, with prices holding strong and in some cases climbing higher with each sale. Collectors who own one often keep it as a centerpiece of their collection, while those who don't continue to search for the elusive find. Stories of discovery still surface from time to time. A young collector in the Midwest reportedly found one in a bulk lot of pennies purchased at a flea market for a few dollars. Another was spotted in a small-town antique store, mispriced as an ordinary wheat penny and quickly snapped up by a sharp-eyed buyer. These stories feed the hope that somewhere, in the vast ocean of coins still in existence, there are more waiting to be found. The design of the wheat penny has always been one of its most endearing qualities. Lincoln's portrait, rendered with quiet dignity, connects the coin to one of the nation's most revered leaders. The reverse's wheat stalks evoke the country's agrarian roots and resilience. On the rare error coins of 1941, those familiar elements take on an added layer of fascination. The doubling, misalignment, or faintness of the design becomes part of the coin's personality, making it unique in a way that perfect coins never can be. Collectors often speak of these coins not just as valuable investments but as artifacts, small, portable pieces of history that have survived against the odds. Their repeated appearances at major auction houses have made them legendary, and their prices reflect both their scarcity and their desirability. Auction catalogs often highlight their past sales, reminding bidders that they are competing for a coin with a proven record of strong demand. In the world of numismatics, where stories and rarity drive passion, the 1941 wheat penny era occupies a special place. It bridges the gap between the classic and the modern, offering the charm of an older design with the intrigue of a dramatic minting mistake. Its value is not just in its metal content or even in its age, but in the unlikely set of circumstances that allowed it to survive in such exceptional condition for so long. As of today, well-preserved examples of the very rare 1941 US 1-cent wheat penny with distinctive minting errors have sold in repeated auctions for prices ranging from $172,500 to $163,000. These numbers are not just the result of fleeting excitement. They represent the sustained interest of a collecting community that knows when it has found something truly special. And so the story of the 1941 wheat penny era continues, each sale and each discovery adding another chapter to the legacy of one of America's most captivating coins. The 1956 US 1-cent wheat penny may seem like an ordinary coin to the casual observer, but to seasoned collectors and numismatic enthusiasts, it holds a special place in the heart of American coinage history. On the surface, it is another member of the long-running Lincoln Wheat series, a design that had already been beloved for decades by the time 1956 rolled around. Yet behind its familiar face lies a world of fascination, history, and in certain rare examples, extraordinary value that far exceeds its humble denomination. To understand why this coin is so prized, it's worth stepping back into the mid-1950s. America was in a post-war boom, with industry thriving, suburbs expanding, and optimism filling the air. The U.S. Mint, still relying on the tried-and-true design of Victor David Brenner's Lincoln bust on the obverse and the two wheat ears on the reverse, was producing billions of pennies to meet the needs of a growing economy. The 1956 pennies were struck at two locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which issued coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which used the small D mark just below the date. In total, more than 1.8 billion Lincoln wheat pennies were minted that year, making it one of the highest mintage years for the series. Yet even within such massive production, rare and remarkable coins managed to emerge, often through human error or quirks of the minting process. Among the most coveted are the 1956 pennies with striking errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or coins struck on planchets meant for other denominations. These errors, invisible to most during everyday transactions, became treasures once discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. Some 1956 wheat pennies are known for having crisp doubling on the date or lettering, while others display dramatic misalignments that make them instantly recognizable as unique. What makes these rarities so appealing is that they were never intentionally produced. Their existence is purely accidental, giving them a one-of-a-kind charm that machine-perfect coins lack. Another factor driving the fascination with the 1956 penny is its place at the tail end of the wheat penny era. Just a few years later, in 1959, the reverse design would change to the Lincoln Memorial, marking the end of a half-century tradition. Collectors often see coins from these final years as both historically significant and highly collectible, particularly when they are preserved in superb condition. Over the decades, these pennies have repeatedly shown up in auctions, often surprising even experienced numismatists with the fierce competition they inspire. In some cases, coins that began with modest opening bids have skyrocketed as determined bidders recognize the exceptional quality or rarity of the piece in question. A perfectly preserved mint-state example with brilliant original luster can command prices that turn heads, especially when it bears a notable minting error. The auction scene has long demonstrated that a 1956 wheat penny is far more than just another coin from a high mintage year. Its historical significance, connection to the closing chapter of the wheat series, and the possibility of rare errors have kept it in the spotlight for decades. Many of these coins have traveled through generations, tucked away in collections or discovered in old coffee cans and dusty drawers, only to re-emerge as coveted treasures in numismatic circles. For collectors, owning a rare 1956 penny is about more than the metal it's made of. It's about holding a piece of history, a tangible link to an era of American life marked by prosperity, tradition, and change. In today's market, the most exceptional examples continue to achieve impressive results, with repeated appearances in major auctions serving as a testament to their enduring desirability. For those fortunate enough to find one in pristine condition or bearing an extraordinary error, the reward can be substantial. These very rare 1956 US 1-cent wheat pennies have been known to sell for anywhere between $55,000 and $140,000, a remarkable sum for a coin that began its life worth just a single cent. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain treasures that capture the imagination not only because of their age but also because of the unique circumstances that led to their creation. The 1944 US 1-cent wheat penny is one such coin, a small copper piece that has traveled through time, history, and countless hands, yet today stands out as a rare gem in the eyes of collectors. To truly understand its appeal, we have to travel back to the early 1940s, a time when the United States was deeply involved in World War II, and the country's resources, economy, and industries were entirely focused on supporting the war effort. During this period, the U.S. Mint faced unique challenges in producing coins. Copper was a critical material for the production of ammunition and other wartime necessities, and in 1943, pennies were struck in steel coated with zinc instead of the traditional bronze composition. However, by 1944, the mint returned to using copper, though not exactly the same as before. Much of the copper used for 1944 pennies actually came from recycled shell casings from military training grounds, melted down and repurposed for coinage. This little-known fact gives the 1944 wheat penny a direct link to the war effort, making each coin not just currency but a small piece of wartime history. The design of the 1944 wheat penny, like others in the Lincoln Wheat series, features the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The reverse side displays two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, a classic and simple design that remained in use until 1958. While most 1944 pennies followed the standard composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a tiny number of error coins struck in steel planchets left over from 1943 production accidentally made their way into circulation. These error coins are the crown jewels for collectors, as their existence was purely accidental and their numbers incredibly small. Even without the steel composition, the 1944 penny is widely sought after due to its historical significance and the wartime materials used to mint it. Many collectors have stories of finding 1944 wheat pennies in jars of old change or inherited collections from parents or grandparents, unaware that they might be holding a piece worth far more than a single cent. In the decades following their production, 1944 pennies have repeatedly appeared in auctions, sometimes drawing unexpected bidding wars. Auction houses have witnessed these coins climbing to values far beyond their starting bids, especially when the coin in question is in exceptional condition or features one of the rare errors. Mint state examples, graded by professional services, often become the centerpiece of major coin collections, with their sharp details, full luster, and rich reddish-brown color catching the light in a way that photographs never fully capture. The appeal lies not only in the rarity but in the story. Every collector wants a coin with a history, and the 1944 wheat penny delivers that in abundance. It tells a tale of wartime America, of ingenuity in the face of shortages, of mistakes that became treasures, and of a small object's ability to connect people across generations. Repeatedly in auctions over the years, the 1944 wheat penny has proven its staying power. Whether offered at a prestigious numismatic event or listed in a well-regarded online coin auction, the results are the same. Determined bidding from collectors who recognize the value and rarity of the piece. Each sale reaffirms its place in U.S. coinage history and fuels the demand for high-grade specimens. For those lucky enough to find one, the coin's value is more than monetary. It's the thrill of discovery, the pride of ownership, and the connection to a past that is both distant and tangible. Today, the 1944 U.S. 1-cent wheat penny remains one of the most desirable coins from the mid-20th century, especially when preserved in pristine condition or featuring a rare error. Its journey from the mint to wartime pockets, through decades of change, and finally into the hands of passionate collectors is a story of survival and significance. In the current market, these coins, depending on their condition and rarity, have been known to sell for anywhere between $60,000 and $150,000, a testament to their enduring allure and the rich history they represent.